you. Right, now where were we? We were, I guess we were just trying to get across the California border, weren't we?
Yeah.
Because the police had set up the bum blockade to stop all these migrants from coming in there. Well, Woodie managed to slip past the bum blockade into California. And it was there that he encountered for the first time the word Okie. Okie. And this was actually a slur, an insult that was used to describe all of the migrants from the Southern Plains, whether in fact they were from Oklahoma or not. And if you were poor, white, homeless, and in California at that time, well, you were an Okie, no matter where you came from. And about 500,000 Okies had slipped into California since the Depression hit. And they were the target of a really hysterical, highly orchestrated campaign of statewide xenophobia, you know, backed up by the Los Angeles Times and the other major media outlets. You know, if you went to a movie theater in the San Joaquin Valley, Bakersfield or someplace like that, you're likely to see a sign posted outside that said, "Negroes and Okies upstairs." Try to go to a diner, you may see a sign that said, "No Okies served." You know, so it's in that. And if you did make it into the cinema, because not too many people had money for movies, but if you did manage to get into the cinema and you go upstairs into the balcony, before the main feature, you'd be looking at the newsreels. And they'd be screaming at you, they're seedy and they're shiftless and they're overrunning the state and they're filthy and they're here for the benefit gravy train, you know, like they've always been saying about migrants. You know. So it's in that context that Guthrie began to circulate around the migrant camps there in California. And he began to listen to the old radicals sitting around the campfire about what really the big picture was. And again, Joe Klein, his biographer, describes it this way. He says that the old hobos would mutter half coherently about the capitalists, the rich bastards, and then they'd reach into their pockets and pull out a battered old red card that proved they'd once been members of the wildest, woolliest, most violent, joyous, and completely disorganized gang of Reds ever to strike fear into the hearts of the American bourgeoisie. The industrial workers of the world, the IWW, the Wobblies. The Wobblies. I don't know why he uses the past tense, because that's my membership card. I'm in the Wobblies. We've been trying really hard since like 1905 to sort of put things right. Well, the old Wobblies, they entranced Guthrie with their humor, with their cynicism, with their anger, and in particular with the songs that they sang out of their Little Red Songbook. That was the Wobbly Songbook. And some of these songs were kind of earnest and, you know, exhortative. The Internationale is in there, you know, Solidarity Forever is in there. But the best of them were these 32-odd, pricelessly parodical, funny songs written by Joe Hill. Some of you may remember Joan Baez singing "I Dreamed I Saw Joe Hill Last Night" at Woodstock, and a lot of people don't know who he was. He was a Swedish-born immigrant to the United States who became a martyr to the cause of American labor with his execution on a trumped-up murder charge in 1915. And you may know of the famous telegram that he sent to his colleagues in the Wobblies the night before he was executed. He says, "Don't waste time mourning for me. Organize." That's what he said. He also said this. He said, "Listen, when this is all over, can you do me a favor and get my body across the state line? Because I don't want to be caught dead in Utah." which is what happened to him, actually. And after he was executed and he was cremated, there were 15,000, 20,000 people at his funeral, and his ashes were distributed among all the various wobbly IWW chapters around the world. And about a decade ago, apparently, Billy Bragg washed down a morsel of Joe Hill's ashes with a pint of beer. All right, good on him. Well, the year before he died, Joe Hill had written that a pamphlet, no matter how good, is never read more than once. but a song is learned by heart, and it's repeated over and over and over. So that's sort of the first lesson that he taught Woodie Guthrie from beyond the grave, as it were. And the second is this. He said, take a few cold, common-sense facts, put them into a song, and then dress them up in a coat of humor to take the dryness off of them. And Joe Hill's reworking of the old Salvation Army hymn in the Sweet By and By, I think is a pretty good case in point. A lot of people think, and you know, a lot of the Wobblies would have been singing this song. This is certainly a song that would have been sung around the campfires in the hobo jungles and the Hooversvilles that Guthrie visited. And Guthrie carried the Wobbly songbook in his pocket when he was around there. A lot of people think this is the reason why Joe Hill was executed, for writing what really did become the anthem to American labor in the first half of the 20th century, The Preacher and the Slave. Does that sound holy enough for you?
Yeah.
Long-haired preachers, they come out every night. They try to tell you what's wrong and what's right. But when asked, how about something to eat, they would tell you in voices so sweet, you will eat by and by in that glorious land up in the sky. Work and pray, live on hay, 'cause you get high in the sky when you die. Holy rollers and jumpers, they all come out, and they jump and they holler and they shout. Give your money to Jesus, they say. He will cure all diseases today. Yes, and that Starvation Army, they will play. And they'll sing and they'll clap and they'll pray until they get all of your coin on their drum. And then they'll tell you when you are on the bum, you will eat by and by in that glorious land up in the sky. Work and pray, you can live on hay, 'cause you get high in the sky when you die. But if I fight for my children and my wife, try to get something good in this life, well, I'm a sinner and a bad man, they tell. And when I die, I will sure go to hell. You will eat by and by in that glorious land up in the sky. Work and pray, live on hay, you'll get high in the sky when you die. Testify, children. Working folks of all countries unite, for we've got us one hell of a fight. And when the world and its wealth we have gained, to all the grafters we'll sing this refrain, you will eat by and by when you've learned how to cook and to fry. Chop some wood, it'll do you good, and then you'll eat in the sweet by and by.